Too much pain and who's to blame? No one knows, but that's the way it goes, yeah. I just don't know. I had a friend of mine, Willie, who worked at the Roosevelt Tramway, from 59th Street to Roosevelt Island. And he called me up and he told me that Sylvester Stallone is here doing a movie called Nighthawks. Come and hang out. So me and my brother, Tony, we get in the car and we drive over there. And we see Stallone, Billy D. Williams, and I didn't know Joe Spinell's name at the time. But in those days, I didn't care about whose name I know, but the movie name, Tony Gazzo. So we're standing there, and he's walking by and says, "Yo, Gazzo!" And he turns around, and he comes and chats with us. For about 20 minutes, he starts introducing me and my brother to Billy D. Williams and a whole bunch of other people. He was such a nice guy, and I never forgot that. Then a few weeks later, we were shooting again in another area in the city. A friend of mine told me, and we went to check it out. I saw him again when VCRs first came out, and I remember Maniac was on videotape and all that stuff. So I had seen all those movies, and I couldn't believe that was the same person, because Joe Spinell to me was always like, he had that image of like a gangster, in the Godfather movies and the Rocky movies and all that stuff. So to see him to play that part was weird to me, because how many guys that play gangsters could play that horror freak part like he did? You see a lot of gangster actors, but you don't see them do that. I guess that's why sometimes I relate to Joe, because I do that. I play gangsters in movies, and I also play a nut job like in Knock Knock and stuff. I was imitating Joe Spinell through the whole thing. I really was. I mean, with the playing with the dolls and same kind of thing. In 1987, I was very active in the music business, playing all the clubs and all that. And I was delivering for a restaurant in Queens. So I come back to the restaurant, and in the middle of the restaurant, at a table with a bunch of other people, with Joe Spinell. And I said, "Is that Joe? What's he doing here?" 1987, this was. So I go up to him and I said, "Joe." He looks at me, "Hey, kid," like that. I said, "You remember me?" He goes, "Well, maybe, I don't know. I mean, and I tell him, I said, "I met you on the set of Nighthawks, and we were chatting." "Oh, yeah," he probably didn't really remember, but he said, he treated me like he remembered. That's how I felt about it. So we started chatting, and he gave me his card, and I called him like the next day, and he invited me over to his place, because I told him I have music, and I'm a songwriter, maybe you could use some of my music in your movies, and I went to his place. We hung out the whole day. I brought a bottle of champagne. He I helped him clean up the house because it looked like a bomb hit it. But that was Joe. Joe didn't wash this. "Hey, Sal, do me a favor. Can you wash my dishes for me?" I said, "All right." So I helped him wash the dishes. We have a little champagne. And then from that day on, it was like we were like inseparable for the next 2 years. I mean, every night. "Sal, what are you doing? Come pick me up." Those days, there was no cell phones, or we had just answering machines. So if I wasn't home, he'd get mad. "How come I'm not answering my phone? I'm not home."
Yeah, Sal. Salvatore. Joe Spinell. I'm on Channel 5, 7 Ups. Please tape it if you can.
It'd be like 7 or 8 in the morning, and I'm sleeping, and I could hear him talking on the machine. "Salvatore, where are you?" "Well, I need a bottle of vodka, because I can't function without my breakfast." And and I said, "Joe, man, I'm sleeping. If you hang up, Salvatore, I'll never speak to you again." "I don't care if you don't speak to me again, Joe. Bye." I hang up, he called back, "Salvatore, I was only kidding." "What? No, but I love you. I really do. Please don't be mad at me. Are you mad at me, Salvatore?" So you hear these tons of messages, and I have saved one here. This is from 87, 88, 89. There's about, I don't even know, about 20 messages, maybe more on here, that I just happened to save. And this is the original tape from the answering machine.
Sal, Joe, Sal, Salvatore, Joe Spinelli. Cheers. I'm a homer. Give me a cola. I'm a homer.
And then from there on, we were together like almost every day, always hanging out. He'd take me, they were doing editing and editing rooms, and he wanted me to be in movies, but I was not into being an actor back then. Back then it was 87, I was only 27 years old, And I was a music person. I wanted to be a rock star. He wanted to put me in some of the stuff. He'd say, Salvatore, I want you to come to the set tomorrow and be in the movie. I said, what time? He said, you have to be there at 7 a.m. I said, forget about it. I'm in my first dream at that time, so you won't see me at 7 a.m., so that's why I never did it then, you know. Joe loved the topless bars. That was his favorite place. Gallagher's. He loved the girls, you know, and he would do some crazy stuff. And we'd go there like 8 o'clock at night, 4 in the morning. He still didn't want to leave. And he would, like, you know, he'd call everybody, tell everybody I'm his son. So he would, like, love watching the girls on the stage and come over here. He'd take a $20 bill, rip it up, and throw it at the guys. Joe, what are you doing? And they said, if you want this $20 bill, you got to come over here and sit on my son Salvatore's lap. So the girl would come off the stage and all over me and kissing me and all this stuff. And he would be like laughing, do you love me? I said, do you love me? They go, ooh, my back, and they start dancing again. And he has a big belly, you know, he'd be dancing around. And then other people were looking at him and he'd say, why is he looking at me? I'm going to kick his ass. I said, Joe, he probably recognizes you from all the movies you're in. No. I'll kick your ass, come in. Guy comes up, he goes, I loved you in The Godfather. He goes, oh, yeah, come sit down, have a drink. He's buying everybody drinks in the place. And he would just do crazy things like that. Yeah, so he used to come to all my shows, and I would pick him up because, you know, he didn't drive, he didn't have a car, nothing, even though he knew how to drive, but that was a dangerous thing. I would never let him drive. Once I let him drive, lucky we made it home because he was just acting crazy, you know. And he would stand out at the car singing to people, I'm a maniac, Jack, and I'm dressed in black, and I'm strictly with the mayor of rock and roll. He would do things like that, you know. I'm like, Joe, get back in the car, you know, we're on this conduit. He's driving 50 miles per hour, standing outside singing.
Nobody's gonna get in my way.
They called him the Cracker Jack, man. He used to carry like a suitcase with everything in there, cocaine, free base, and I became like a father figure to Joe. He was 50 and I was 27, but he was like nervous to do things in front of me because I would yell at him, you know. Everybody just yesed Joe to death, you know. He's a big movie star, and me, I just became his friend. Where I'm like, what are you doing? You don't need that crap. You don't need to do drugs. You don't need to do cocaine. And he would say, Sal, you're the best. Nobody's ever done that. I said, well, what do you need that for? Come on, let's get high on life. Let's just hang out and have a good time. And there was no control. I mean, he was out of control. He also always reminded me, even though I became like a father figure to him, he reminded me of my dad because my dad was in bad shape. So I was always worried about my father. So when I was with Joe, I wanted to be there for him. You know, so I can't explain the feeling I have inside.
I love you, Mom. Goodbye.
When I first started hanging out with him again in 1987, his mom had just recently passed away. So he was a wreck with that. I mean, we'd go to his house after whatever, and he would just stand there and watch him like, oh, man. Which he would be talking out loud to his mom, even though she wasn't there. But yet I do that to myself now. And I thought back then that was like a little freaky, you know. But Joe Spinell's apartment was, you know, he was the bathroom, he painted blood all over the toilet seat. In the middle of his kitchen, he had that guy taken off from the Maniac, right in the middle of his kitchen table, and he had Christmas lights in there. And he would light it up, and I'd say, yeah. And it was lit up, and I'd be in there looking at it, creeping me out.
Everyone wants to talk to us, Mom. They love us.
Joe had a heart of gold, and he loved everybody. And he you know, if he was at a bar or a party or whatever, he paid for everybody. He would buy everybody a drink in the whole place. He would call me up and say, Salvatore, I just got a royalty check from The Godfather for $10,000, and I want to spend it. So get over here right away because I need my breakfast. I need my vodka. So he would spend all this money like in a few days or a day or two, and he would put $100 in my pocket, right? And I said, I don't want your money, Joe. Take it. By the end of the night at the bar, he says, where's that $100 I gave you? He already spent everything. Maniac made him a real maniac. I mean, all the other movies that he acted in, something about Maniac, he started really becoming like that person for some reason, the way he talked. You know, everything about Maniac, the things he was doing, even in his house, painting the bathroom and all blood and red paint like it was if it was blood and the things he was doing is like kind of strange. So he was related more to the Maniac character than when he played Tony Gazzo or Willie Chichi in the Godfather movies. That was the only movie that Joe Spinell was the main star. And that's why he liked it so much. Because every other movie, he was in the movie, he had great parts, big money, but he was not the star, But Maniac was the only movie he did where he was the actual star. I went with him to a few places in the city that he was meeting up with a few guys that they weren't talking about doing Maniac 2. And there's this guy, Buddy, I don't remember his last name, Buddy, do you know his last name, Buddy?
Giovinazzo.
That's it. Yeah, he was a skinny guy with glasses, very young guy. And they were talking, and Joe is like, people in the boardroom, you want to be in my movie? This guy's we're doing a new movie. You want to be in there? He's telling the waitresses and the cooks in the place. And he's asking me, you want to be in my movie? And Joe liked that because after Maniac, he was the main star. So now anything after that, he wanted to be the main star again. So he didn't want nobody, I don't think he wanted anybody with a bigger name than him in the movie.
All right, this first one that I go out to my friend Joe Spinell. We go into his favorite town. Call this one Too Much Pain.
And he would come see me play all the time, He would come, and a few times I remember at Kenny's Castaways, he jumped on the table and he was dancing and play Too Much Pain. He's singing all out of key along with me on the stage, and people were looking at him.
Living for trying I can't be myself from behind. Too much pain and music, no one knows but that's the way it does.
Too Much Pain. It became his favorite song. I guess because Too Much Pain is a very dark song. Too much pain and who's to blame, no one knows, but that's the way it goes, stuff like that. And he related to it, I guess, because he was very sad. He was trying to stay happy, but because once his mom passed away, he became really out of control in terms of, he was so unhappy, and he tried to stay happy, but the only time he was happy is when he was working. So if he was home, he was a complete mess.
Why don't you be happy? Just driving the cab.
Because I got talent, man. I'm going to be a great director someday.
He drove a cab for years. Even, he would, because he spent his money so fast that he had to do something else. And he liked driving the cab. And in the last horror film, he's actually driving the cab that he uses for work. They had a fake mustache in that scene. You could see while he's driving, he goes, Jimmy Duran, you're on your way, man. And you could see that it's fake. It's not his real mustache. And he goes to his real apartment. His mom is by the window. She's waving at him, hi, Mom. And they did that whole scene in his apartment.
Wait, yes, operator, could you place my call to the States, please? No, not the one to California. The one to New York, yes. 212, area code 392-2304.
My sister-in-law is the type of person who sees things like that in the movie and calls it. I never thought of calling. And then she said, "Do you know your friend Joe gave out his real number on the movie?" I said, "Really?" So I go back, and it says, sure enough, he gave out his real phone number. I need the one in the States. I used to have it memorized. I don't have it memorized no more because those days there's no cell phones. Everything was so I had to memorize it. So, he gave out his actual real phone number in the movie, and he would get calls every day. He didn't care. He would pick it up and talk to them. And he had this, where he sat, he had a lamp, all phone numbers. Instead of a phone book, his phone numbers all around his lamp. That was his phone book, And then he liked to decorate the house with crazy things. We'd be driving, and he'd see a hubcap in the street. Sal, stop. Oh, Joe, what's wrong? There's a hubcap over there. I need it for my apartment. I said, what are you doing with a hubcap? It's great art. Put it on the wall. It looks like a picture. I thought, no, you're kidding me. And then he would see anything he would see. He would see like little the air freshener trees that you buy for the car. And he picked them up anyway, and he had a Christmas tree, and that would be his ornaments. He put the air freshener on his Christmas tree. My sister-in-law bought this for me. I didn't even know they existed. How's that? Look at that. Tony Gazzo, Joe Spinell action figure. These came out. They did a whole bunch of Rocky, the whole Rocky series of all the characters. And when I saw this, I had tears in my eyes because I said, could you imagine if Joe saw this? I said, I'm hoping that he doesn't know this is out because, you know, you're gone and all of a sudden people, you're making an action figure of you. And he would have been so happy.
Yeah, Joe, calling for the last time. What's going on? That doesn't make sense to me.
I remember like yesterday, I got started a new job, I was up in the airport, and I was talking to him on the phone, and he said, he fell and hurt himself. I said, Joe, you okay? I wanted to call a doctor. No, I'm fine, get out of here. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm fine. So I just got home from work, it was at night, because I worked 2 to 10. I got home, it was like 10 after 10, but I worked like 10 minutes away from the airport. And Vinny calls me and says, Sal, we're at Joe's house, because I was supposed to hang out with them too, but he called me, we're already here, we're in the hallway, but Joe's not answering the door. And I said, okay, so I start calling Joe, and I keep getting this message, and I said, I better jump in my car. So I jump in my car, I drive to Sunnyside. Arthur and Vinny are sitting in the hallway, also with Joe Spinell's brother-in-law. Just sitting in the hallway, the ice cream is all melted in the bag, and they're just sitting on the floor. I said, what's going on? I said, Joe's not answering. So I put my ear against the door. I hear the TV going. I hear it's loud. I said, it's got to be in there. Something's wrong. I called the building's super guys that work in the building, and I told him, I said, I said, you guys have the key to the door. They didn't have no key. And I said, outside in Joe's, outside the kitchen window, there's a fire escape. I said, if you could get up the fire escape, you could climb up through the window and come in. So he did that. So I was waiting in front of the door. Vinny and Arthur were sitting on the floor. You know, the ice cream was all melted. His brother-in-law was like wondering what's going on. And I waited by the door, and the guy climbed in. He opened the door, and there was I see Joe on the couch like this here, with a towel over him, just dead. He was, you know, he hemorrhaged. He fell earlier, banged his head or whatever he did, and he hemorrhaged. You know, no, people thought it was blood. He hemorrhaged eternally. So he looked like normal. He just had died from hemorrhaging eternally. And I just looked at him and I was like, oh, geez. And you know, I just felt it coming because every day Joe was getting closer and closer to like disaster, you know, between the drugs and the drinking and just doing dangerous things. And you knew it was coming, but I didn't expect it that night, you know. And so I just looked at him and I sat on the floor in the hallway. I was just sitting there crying, and Vinny and their brother were yelling at each other. I told you should have got the key. I said, what are you guys fighting about? He's probably, you know, that happened, you know? They were like blaming each other. And that was it. That night I sat on the floor, I cried, and then I got back in my car, went home, and I was crying myself to sleep in the bed, and that was it for Joe. And then, you know, there was the wake and everything, a lot of family, and I never knew he had a beautiful daughter. I met his daughter at the wake. Jason Miller, he was crying like a baby. He stayed all the way in the back. He couldn't go near the coffin, you know, at all. And he was just sitting crying. Danny Aiello and a whole bunch of people said to me, Sal, if it wasn't for you, he would have died 2 years ago. You kept him alive for the last 2 years of his life. He said once his mom passed away, he was done for. Everybody's saying something different. He died of a heart attack. The police came in. There's no police. There was no police when I was there. They said the police came in and saw his head on the thing. They thought he chopped his head off and there was blood everywhere. I'm like, oh God, what is he making these stories up? I wanted to jump through the TV screen. It's driving me crazy because I wanted to tell the real truth. You know, and now this is great because I'm glad now that everybody will know. How we doing, Joe? Jeez, here I am. Here we are with Joe Spinell's gravesite, Calvary Cemetery, 1989. Feels like yesterday. Ah, brother, I love you, man. I miss you. And I'm sure we're definitely going to meet again. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Love you, brother. Okay, Joe. Remember this? Your favorite song that I wrote. There he goes. Killing for a living, living for a giant. I can't keep myself from crying. Too much pain, and who's to blame? No one knows, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, I just don't know.